Hey, so recently the TSA was in the news earlier this week for apparently paying lots of money to build a rather simple app that just directs people to one of two lanes before boarding their aircraft or checking in or going through security, I guess is what it is. It's a very simple app. If you've seen something like this Mashable headline here, there's a video, and essentially they have an iPad app that the TSA agent taps on, and then it indicates if the passenger should go to the left lane or the right lane. Now, spending a lot of money on an app isn't necessarily a problem that's exclusively to the TSA. Lots of companies spend too much money on apps. So, I'd like to take a moment to show you how Xojo could put together this app pretty darn quickly. So, let's see here. I'm going to make an iOS app in Xojo. We're going to call it Lane Chooser. Here, I'll change the company name to TSA just for fun. So in Xojo, boom, you immediately get a nice view here. What I'm going to need is a couple images for these arrow indicators, if you will. So I'm going to have a left arrow, and I'll also add another image for the right arrow. And I already have these that I grabbed off the internet, so I'm just going to drag them in. So I got a right arrow here, I'll just drag that in there, and the left arrow I'll just drag in here. All right, now on my view, I'm only going to need a couple controls really. So let's click on the library, and I'm going to want to grab a canvas. I'm going to use that to draw the arrows on the screen and check if the screen was tapped. So I'll just make that take up pretty much, well, not pretty much, but the entire area of the screen here. And then I'm also going to want a timer, and this is used because when I was watching the TSA video that showed how the app worked, it appeared that the arrow would appear for a few seconds and then disappear. So the timer will essentially clear out the arrow after a couple seconds. So I can put the timer on here. I'm going to just give the timer a name like reset timer, and it'll start off. And the timer will run for about 3 seconds. So we'll set the period to 3000 milliseconds. And the time, like I said, the timer's responsibility will be just to clear the image. So what image are we going to display? Let's add an image property to our view. And this will be the image that I'm going to display on the screen. And each time these are taps on the screen, we'll randomly decide whether it'll be the left or the right image. We'll assign it the image to this property, and then we'll draw that property in the canvas. All right, so let us add a couple event handlers here to the canvas. We're going to want to add the paint event handler so that we can actually draw the arrows, and we'll add the pointer down event handler so we can tell when someone's tapped on the canvas as well. So here we can just add some code, and we'll just check a random integer. We'll go between 1 and 100, and if it's less than 50, then we'll display the left arrow. So we'll set arrow image to be the left arrow. Otherwise, we can set the arrow image to be the right arrow. And then after doing that, we can tell the canvas to redraw itself, which will then draw the image. And then simply here in the paint event handler, we can draw the image. So if the image is not blank, then we're going to draw it. If it is blank, however, we're just going to draw some text on the screen. And this is the default behavior. When I was looking at the TSA app, it just looked like it had some text that said tap here or something like that. So that will just display there. Now we're going to want to display that kind of in the center. So we'll just get the height of the overall canvas area and get the center area of that, and then the width, and then I will center it. And I think that's all I need there. So that's what we have for code here. And to draw the image, also equally simple, we just would call the draw image method. And we're going to draw the arrow image, and then we'll also center it. Actually, we can use the actual image width here. Take the center value, and then we'll also center it vertically as well. So that draws the arrow on the screen in the center of the screen. Now the purpose for the timer, as I mentioned, is to remove the arrow after a few seconds. So let's add an event handler here to the timer so we can do that. And when the timer runs, we'll turn it off. And then we'll also clear the image. And we'll tell the canvas to invalidate. I think I may have used the wrong. No, I got that right there. So we're going to invalidate the canvas. That'll tell it to redraw itself. And now I think the last thing we really want to do here is, again, when the user's tapping, we want to essentially start the timer so that it'll leave the image up for about 3 seconds and then clear it. So we can just tell our timer to run once. And that's it. Not a lot of code, as you can see. We can click on over here on iOS. We can tell it, well, we want to run this on an iPad. So let's just pick an iPad model right here. And then I can run the project. And you can see it'll run in Apple's iOS simulator. And it says tap here, centered in the middle. I can tap there. And now it says, oh, geez, you should go to the right. And tap again. Oh, now you should go to the left. And then it, it goes away each time. Go to the right. Go to the left. Go to the left again. So as you can see, that's pretty much the extent of this app. Very quick and easy to build for iOS. That only took a couple of moments, a couple minutes probably. Now, we don't know everything about this app. TSA, granted, spent a lot of money on this app, but it may do a lot of other things. Maybe it's tracking how many people are going in each direction, so there's some way to know how many people are in the queue. Maybe this stuff's all going to a server. Who knows? Maybe there was actually other stuff that made this app cost a little bit more to build. But rest assured, even if you did have to add server stuff or anything else, you could certainly do that in Xojo without any trouble whatsoever. So here's the app. Like I said, pretty easy. I'll put a link to download the project if you want to grab it real quick and test it out. I'll put that in the comments for the video. So that's it. Thank you very much.